Hi there and welcome to another video. This is Gina from McGuire. I apologize if the sound isn't great in this video. However, I am out of town and just trying to find a quiet space to do a voiceover. So today I'm focusing on creating die-cut gatefold cards. This is a great way to get more use out of your background dies. I think it's best to start with the completed cards just so you can see where we're headed with these card designs. So one of my examples shows using a background die along with vellum to create a gatefold, and then there's also a card inside. We'll be starting with this simple card that again has a die-cut gatefold design, and then you can open it up to see a card inside. Now there are many ways to do these designs, and I'm doing two basic ones today. Okay, so for this example I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Folk Dance background die. This is an awesome die because there's no cutting edge around the outside. So you could just die cut this from the front of a note card or make an impression with it. And then just trim down the sides to whatever side you want. I'm going to tape this onto a piece of purple cardstock. I do recommend a heavyweight purple cardstock. Most of the high quality colored cardstocks that the craft companies sell would work great for this. So I'm using my Gemini Junior die cut machine, but you could use any die cut machine for this. So here is a piece that's die cut, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'll go ahead and create another one of the same size. So I have 2 pieces die cut. Okay, next it's time to die cut the happy word for the front of the card. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Big Happy dies. This is a great die set because you can die cut the word and you can die cut its shadow. I die cut the word twice from dark purple cardstock and glued them together for a bit of dimension, and then I glued that onto a white shadow die cut. I like when the shadow die is available because it helps to make a word's die stand out more on your card. And on this card I kind of have a busy die cut background, so that white shadow die cut really helps to make it stand out. Now it's time to create the card since we have all our die cutting complete. I'm using a Scor-Pal scoreboard here, and I'm going to score right down the center of this. So that's at 2 3/4. You want to be sure to be careful here because you don't want to tear your die cut. Just kind of press along that 2 3/4 score line. We're just going to fold these both in half. Since this is 5 1/2 inches wide, we're going for that 2 3/4 inch score line. So you can see I'm very careful to make sure that I don't tear that background. Once we have a score line down the center of both, we can go ahead and fold them in half, making sure we have a nice square fold here, and then carefully use that bone folder to really crease that fold line. Again, this is a pretty delicate looking background die, but if you're careful, you can score it with no problem. And I'll do that to both pieces. These two will serve as the gatefold for our card. Next, we need to create the card for the inside. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card, but I'm just going to cut a little bit off the edge. This will help the 2 pieces to fold around it and meet in the middle. So I just cut off a little bit. So now we can take these 2 pieces and wrap it around the card, and they will meet in the middle nicely. So this is a great way to use any background die. Now if your background die cuts a piece smaller than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you'll have to adjust the note card size inside. Okay, so next it's time to adhere our little gatefold doors onto this. I have a piece of white cardstock that's a little bit bigger. So it's about 4 1/2 by 5 3/4, a little less than that. Next I'm trimming a bit off one of the flaps of my die cut backgrounds. The reason I'm cutting this off is this is the side that's getting glued down, so you don't really need it all. So I will put some strong adhesive on this. You can use a strong double-sided adhesive or a strong liquid adhesive as I am here. Make sure you put a good amount right up against the fold line and then in other places along this flap. I'll take this and adhere this to the back of our note card, making sure that our folded die cut piece is right up against the edge of the note card. So I'll wrap that around and press it down. Then I will make sure that I push this piece right up against the edge of the note card as much as I can. That'll give us a nice clean look. Next, we'll do the same with the other side. We'll trim off some of the piece just because we don't need it all, and I didn't want the edge to be hanging out. Put down lots of that strong adhesive and then adhere it to the edge of the note card. You'll want to press this down so that it dries nicely. Okay, so now I'm putting lots of adhesive on this. This is where you can go to town with the adhesive. Make sure you have a lot there because you don't want this to come undone. And then you can add it to your white background. That white matte just gives it a nice finished look and also holds everything together. If you wanted a ribbon to tie this closed, you would put it between the purple and the white piece. But I did find that this stays closed if you just put something heavy on it for a while, or it'll probably flatten when it goes through the mail. Now here is our little happy die cut. I want this to float over the center, but not seal our card shut, so I'm only putting my adhesive on the first half of the word happy. That way it will only glue to the left flap of my card. I'm putting it over a piece of scrap cardstock here so that any glue that oozes out doesn't end up on my desk. And I'll press that down and I'll let that dry. Any glue that is still on the back will dry nicely and not be sticky, so it'll be just fine. Just make sure you don't glue your card shut. You could put any die cut shape here. You could tie ribbon here, you can do anything you want, but I wanted to keep this particular design very simple. Okay, so I added a happy birthday white heat embossed sentiment right onto the word happy. And then since this is a simple card, I added a little Tonic Aqua Shimmer pen to the purple part of the word happy. And then I added a few Lucy's Cards Grape jewels here and there in the background. They're hard to see here in the video, but they do capture the light in real life, so it adds a little bit of nice bling. Now for the matching envelope, I was really excited to see there is a Simon Says Stamp Folk Dance stamp that matches that background die. So I'm stamping this with a light purple ink. I have some scrap paper tucked in to the flap of my envelope. I'll press my envelope down, and then I have that matching floral pattern on the flap of my envelope. Simon Says Stamp does offer this pattern in a stencil also. So here's the completed card. You can see it closes nicely. There's not much bulk to it. Now you could trim the white down a little bit and fit it into a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch envelope, or an envelope for that size card, or you could put it in a 5 by 7 envelope. It's totally up to you. I'll trim mine down so it fits in my matching envelope. I also wanted to show you that that happy birthday sentiment is from the Simon Says Stamp Simple Sentiments 1 stamp set. This is one I show in lots of videos. I use it often. Now another thing you could do to this card is maybe stamp a stripe pattern on that inside note card or add some stamping there. You could even die cut something to put there, but I wanted to keep this card very simple. Okay, now my next example steps this design up a little bit, and this time we're going to add vellum. So for this one, I'm using Stick It double-sided adhesive. This is a great product for die cutting, as it is a thin double-sided adhesive that die cuts nicely. I'm trimming my sheet down to be 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch pieces using my favorite Holtz Trimmer. Now I also have some minty green colored cardstock of the same size, also 4 1/4 by 5.5. I'm placing the Stick It adhesive on one side of my cardstock, so you'll see that I can just easily peel it off and press it down. Make sure you press this with a bone folder or something else to make sure that it sticks nicely to the cardstock. Next, I'm using the new Simon Says Stamp Leafy frame die. I am crazy about this die. It's great for any background, and it cuts a piece that is 4 1/4 by 5.5. I'll run this through my die cut machine, and what I'll end up with is this great leafy frame die cut with adhesive on the back already, which will make this card very simple. I'll use my Tim Holtz craft pick to poke out all the little pieces of this, and you can see that both layers, the cardstock and the adhesive, cut nicely. Next, I'm using my trimmer to cut this in half. So to cut this in half, it'll be about 2 1/8 inches. So I'll put this right into my trimmer, make sure it's straight, and cut it right in half. So now I have these two pieces that I can put back to back to make a great gatefold card design. Next, I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of vellum. I'll remove the release paper from 1/2 of my die cut frame and put it right up against the edge. This will put a nice vellum backing against this delicate die cut. If you have a delicate background die cut you want to use for gatefold, I do recommend backing it with vellum or acetate. The last card was kind of strong enough die cut that you didn't need to do that, but this one has a lot of open area. You'll also want to press this firmly with a bone folder to make sure that adhesive sticks to the vellum. Next, I'm going to score this right down the middle. That's at 2 1/8 inches. Be gentle, this is vellum, and vellum can sometimes be fragile, but I did use a heavyweight vellum, so it scores nicely, and you can fold it in half nicely. So now I have this piece of folded vellum, and this will serve as one of the gate folds of our card. Okay, now it's time to do the other piece. We're going to do the exact same thing. And by the way, if you see any adhesive kind of hanging off the edge of your vellum or any exposed adhesive, make sure you use an anti-static powder tool on that to remove the stick, because you don't want your card to get stuck closed. Next, I have a top folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card that is going to go on the inside of our gatefold. If you find that your gatefold doesn't wrap around it and meet in the middle, you can trim a little bit off the side of the note card to make it skinnier. I do find that trimming a little bit off helps to make the gatefold card better. Okay, now for that card on the inside, I wanted to add a little interest to it. So I used that Leafy frame die to cut from some light mint cardstock, and I'm gluing this onto the note card just for tone-on-tone look and something interesting inside of the card. It will also show through the vellum, so you'll see it from the outside too. Now it's time to glue our gatefold pieces on. So on the vellum flap, I'll add some strong adhesive. Double-sided tape would work great here too. I'll take this and press it right against the edge of our note card. Again, make sure it's snug against the edge of the card so that you have a nice finished look. And I'll do the same with the other side. Now, if you don't have background dies, but maybe have some regular dies, you could die cut a bunch of pieces and glue them onto a vellum flap like this and create a similar design. Just die cut a bunch of pieces, overlap them some, glue them to the vellum, and create a gatefold card. But you can see how easy it is to use a background die to create this. Now on the back of this piece, I'm adding more adhesive and putting it onto a white cardstock base. I'm also tucking a piece of twine behind it so that this card can have a twine closure. You could use ribbon or baker's twine if you wanted to. I have a white heart die cut where I've stamped the word thanks, and I'm making sure that's only glued to the left flap. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Blooming Circle die, one of my favorite dies, to die cut a bunch of little flowers. I die cut them from the light mint cardstock, and I'll glue them around the front panels just for a little bit of decoration. I actually ended up stacking 2 on each of the flowers so they would stand out a bit more against the darker green leaves. I also added pearls to the center of these flowers and scattered on the vellum. So here's a look at the stamp set that I used for the thanks. This is an older one from Simon Says Stamp, but any greeting would work on that heart die cut. You could also do a circle die cut, a flower die cut, anything that you may have. So let's take a look at the finished card. We have a simple twine bow. If you do this card design, any kind of bow you make sure you keep the ends long so the recipient can retie it if they want to. So you see that there's not much bulk to this. When you open it up, I stamped for everything, and then there's a place to write your message on the inside. I noticed this was sticking a little bit due to a bit of exposed adhesive, so I just added my anti-static powder tool, and that will remove any stick. So here you can see how it opens easily, and you have your hidden message inside. Again, you could trim that white piece down on the back so it fits in a traditional envelope, or you can use a 5x7 envelope. So there you have some fun die-cut gatefold card designs. I hope you give this a try. If you are interested in the supplies, they're linked below in my YouTube description, but be sure to head to my blog for more information. In the middle are a couple other videos you might like. I appreciate you visiting me. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.